Hey Creekside, welcome back to another edition of Backyard Science. First of all, I want to give a shout out. If you watched the snail video last week, a few of you sent us a picture of the snails that you went out and found in your backyard. Way to go, and thanks for that. Keep those pictures coming. We've got another animal for you today, and Herman came back to read another poem for us about the next animal. And I bet you've seen this animal before. When I was a kid, we called them roly-polies. And I bet maybe you found a roly-poly before. Would you share your poem with us, Herman? Thanks. All right, here we go.
Hey, roly-poly bug, why do you act so shy? When I pick you up, you give yourself a hug and roll into a ball, so cozy and snug. Every time I touch a pill bug, a roly-poly, they roll into a ball. I just want to talk to them, and they won't even play with me. Are they just that shy, Miss Smith?
That is a really good question. They're actually really not that shy. That's what we call a defense mechanism. A defense mechanism just means they're not sure what's dangerous, so they like to roll up to keep themselves safe because they're not very fast. So they roll up into a ball instead, so nothing can hurt them. A pill bug belongs to a family called an isopod. Now last week we learned that a snail belongs to a family called gastropods. Remember, gastro meant belly and pod meant foot. So say the word isopod. Great. Pod has to do with their feet. And the word iso has to do with the meaning similar or equal. So in other words, a pill bug, which is the actual name of a roly-poly bug, is a pill bug, and we are scientists, so let's use that word. Pill bugs have an equal number of similar feet going down each side of their body. And it just so happens they have 7 going down one side of their body and 7 going down the other side of their body. 7 plus 7 is 14. If you know your doubles facts, you knew that before I even said it, so go you. So I want to share some pill bug words, and then we'll have an up-close look at a pill bug I found in my yard. So a pill bug is an isopod, which means same number of feet going down each side of their body. They are also something called a crustacean. You may have heard that word before. Crustaceans are also some animals that live in the ocean, like shrimp and crabs. So a pill bug is a distant cousin to a shrimp and a crab. They also have a hard outside body part called a carapace. Shrimp and crab also have those too. And they have antenna, which is different than the snail, which had, they had tentacles. So the antennae are little hair-like parts, and we'll see those. They've also got eyes, and they've got something that a kangaroo has. How about that? Where does a kangaroo mommy carry her babies? If you said in a pouch on her belly on the outside of her body, you are right. That pouch is called a marsupial pouch. And that's where mommy pill bugs carry their babies, on a marsupial pouch on the outside of their body. And the only time I've ever seen one of those, it was a really fat little marsupial pouch on the outside of the pill bug's body. Other than that, that's the only way you can tell a mommy pill bug from a daddy pill bug, is if you can see a really fat marsupial pouch. So let's have a look at one. I've got one right here. You can see that I have it in a cup with a wet paper towel. The reason I have it in there with a wet paper towel is because of their cousins. Their cousins, the shrimp and the crabs that live in the ocean, breathe through their gills. Well, it just so happens, even though a pill bug doesn't live in the water, it does have gill-like structures that it breathes through. So the reason I made sure that I gave him a wet paper towel was because if he dries, he dies. That's the most important thing you need to know if you actually capture a pill bug to look at for a few days. If he dries, he dies. So make sure you give him a nice, moist environment. So this is a good pill bug. I found him in the same place that I found my snail the other day. It was a cool, damp, shady place. So remember, I found him in a damp place because he needs the moisture. You'll see on the outside of his body, it looks like little lines going down his body. Those are called his segments. That's what allows him to roll up into a ball. And there are his little hair-like antennae. And this pill bug is a really good size. Oh no, I dropped him. Let's see if I can find him again. There he is. Oh, he rolled into a ball. I dropped him and he got scared. So we'll put him back. See, he got afraid. So he did his defense mechanism because they're not a very fast animal. So when this little pill bug was running around just a moment ago, we were able to see his 14 legs. There he goes, he's kicking them. By the way, a pill bug has a hard time righting himself. To right himself means to flip back over. I don't know if you've ever seen a turtle on his back, but they have a really hard time flipping back over to their belly. I'm going to help him out today just so he can crawl around. There we go. He could have done it himself, but I helped him along. So if you get a nice big pill bug and get him to be still long enough, maybe you can count his little pill bug legs. So if you find a pill bug in your yard, if you want to look at him and observe him, that's what a scientist does. They observe things. If you want to observe a pill bug or two for a few days, you would want to put some soil in a cup or a Tupperware or even an old butter dish container, and make sure that it's really moist, because if they dry, they die. Give him some dead leaves, which is another important part about a pill bug. Another important part of information is that a pill bug eats decaying matter like old dried leaves and old dried grass and even rotting wood. A pill bug is not a pest. A pest is something that bothers people or bothers things, and a pill bug does not hurt one single thing. They can't hurt you, they can't bite you, they can't sting you, and they're good for the environment because they eat rotting things. They do have some predators. A bird or a lizard or a frog or a toad would definitely eat a pill bug if they saw one. So I've got a couple of challenges for you. If you find a pill bug in your backyard, maybe you could write a story about a pill bug. Maybe you could write some interesting facts about a pill bug. My dog's looking for pill bugs. Maybe you could draw pictures or take pictures of a pill bug. And we'll diagram one. And then I'll show you one more really fun thing that maybe you could get your whole family in on. So I'm going to just put my little pill bug back with his wet paper towel, because I want to keep him safe. So let's look at our words one more time before we make our diagram. It's an isopod. It is a crustacean. It breathes through gills, so it must have moisture. It has a hard outer body called a carapace. Another interesting fact about that is it will molt. That means when his body gets a little bit too big for his carapace, he will shed his carapace, and then he snacks on that carapace, and it's a really good meal for him. They carry their babies in a marsupial pouch, just like a kangaroo, and they've got a cousin called a sow bug. We'll talk about that in a minute too. They have antennae, and they do have little eye spots on their body, kind of like the snail. Those little spots really only sense light and dark, but they don't see anything else. So let me flip our paper, because we are outside on a windy day, and get my handy dandy teacher chart markers and clip this down. Oh no, I dropped my clip. Here we go. Maybe dark blue will show up for you. Okay, so if you wanted to start a science journal with some diagrams, that's not blue, that's red. I grabbed my red, that'll do. This is how you draw a roly-poly, also known as a pill bug. It's just a little hunky shape like that. The little bottom part of his body. He has, remember, 7 legs on each side of his body. I'm only going to draw 7, but if I drew him from the underside, I would draw the other 7, which adds up to 14. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little pill bug legs. A couple of little pill bug antennae. And those little eye spots that only see light and dark. And those segments. Remember, those segments are how he's able to curl his body up nice and tight, because he's a kind of a slow little critter. So we've got antenna. Remember, a diagram has words that point to the parts. He has legs, 14 to be exact, because he is an isopod. That hard outer part is called his carapace. It's a lot like a snail's shell because it's hard. And those are the main parts of a roly-poly, also known as a pill bug. And remember, you can find them in a cool, shady, moist place. Now I've got one more challenge for you. If my cameraman would come over here to my racetrack, I'll share a challenge you can do with your whole family. Move my rocks. You can make a simple little racetrack on some paper, or you could even make a really big racetrack with some sidewalk chalk out on your concrete, and each family member could have their own pill bug, and you trap your pill bugs under the cup at the starting line and decide whose you think is the fastest, and release your pill bug and let them have a race, and whichever pill bug makes it to the finish line first is the winner. And you can do that as many times as you like. And by the way, you can do that with snails too. So I'm going to trap him so that he doesn't fall off. And I want to show you one last thing. I decided, you know what, it would be a really fun thing to do? Maybe paint a picture on a rock. If you decide to paint some rocks, and it doesn't even have to be a pill bug, you could paint a snail, or you could even paint some messages to your friends at Creekside. Somewhere on your rock, if you would write Creekside and 2020, when we all get back to school, you could bring me your rocks and I could seal them up with some clear coat paint and make a display, and we could always remember the time that even though we were apart, we were still together. So that's all I've got for today. You need to get out in your backyard and find yourself a pill bug.